Consumers keep spending, and that's been keeping the economy afloat. The GDP report out today showing consumer spending accelerated in the first quarter, and a number of earnings results this week, including reports from MasterCard, Hilton, Chipotle, all painted the picture of a strong and resilient consumer. But is that going to last? Buy now, pay later pioneer Klarna CEO Sebastian Siemiatkowski joining us now. Great to have you here, sir. Really appreciate the time. What are you seeing overall from the consumer? Is it reflected in these earnings reports we've talked about?
Very much so. I mean, to be honest, if you look at Klarna, obviously today with 150 million consumers and doing 2 million transactions a day, we also have a big kind of mix of online and in-store transactions, and also seeing both debit and credit. As much as we're famous for buy now, pay later, it's actually 35% is debit transactions. And if you look at that overall, I think that it's very clear that online-only merchants and companies selling online are still suffering a little bit from, comparison to COVID level sales and kind of coming back. But overall, e-commerce, if you would look back before COVID and now, has been kind of constantly growing. It's just had this bump and came back down. But where people are spending is restaurants, hotels, travel. And I think it is very clear that to some degree, to me, that there's been a lot of media about, the worsening of the economy, but it's not really visible in our numbers across consumer spending. Very, very consistent with what you said.
Yeah, Sebastian, certainly is a tough environment right now for consumers. They are facing inflation in almost every aspect of their lives, at the grocery store, when they travel for airfare, even when they go out to the store and buy clothing. When it comes to the buy now, pay later side of your business, what are you noticing the trends and how people are using buy now, pay later? Is it for the essentials? Is it for staples that people simply need to purchase on a daily basis?
Well, I think that the interesting thing is that the whole concept of buy now, pay later actually was based. Some of you may remember back in the days, you used to swipe a card and you would push 1 for debit or 2 for credit. Now, all the big banks removed that option because they wanted you to build a balance. They wanted you to put everything on your credit card balance, so you would maximize the likelihood of you revolving and then borrowing as much as possible, which is why the average credit card debt is $5,000. The average Klarna outstanding debt is $100. So our whole service is built on the concept, reintroducing that choice between debit and credit. And so we're actually not seeing that at all. We're seeing I think what is a continuation of people shifting away from credit cards that are a predatory product. I recommend everyone to watch Netflix Credit Cards Explained. It gives you a good walk through all the tactics that the banks have applied. And I think that sentiment is continuing there. People want a product where they take that decision, debit or credit, on a transactional basis. And it's actually fostering better spending. So that's also what we've seen consistently now. Our losses are down considerably in all markets in the US, maybe most of all. So, but again, we have very short outstanding credit cycles, right? I mean, our average outstanding balance is just 30, 60 days, while people revolve and, build up balances on credit cards for a much longer period of time. So I think it's very different than maybe what the kind of overall media narrative currently is.
Appreciate the streaming tip there as well, bro. So the consumer is strong, and so too is the competition. Apple getting in your space. What's your reaction?
I don't know. I've been doing this for 18 years. First, it was like PayPal was too big and they were going to kill us in the Nordics, and then they were going to kill us in the German-speaking countries, and then they were going to kill us in the UK, and here we are beating them in the US. I don't know, I think, I don't want to be arrogant to, big companies' abilities to be competitive, but they're also, if you look at buy now, pay later with Apple right now and Apple Pay Later, it's actually, obviously I love Apple Pay. In store, it works amazingly well. But if you look at the top 100 US retailers, more people offer Klarna of those in the US than offer Apple Pay. I'm not talking about Apple Pay Later. In order to use Apple Pay Later, you also have to sign up for it. It only works on Safari. It doesn't work on Chrome. It only works on an iPhone. It doesn't work on your desktop. I mean, there's so many limitations that it will take years before this product has any potential significant impact on what we're doing. And to us, buy now, pay later is just a feature. I think the strongest and most fantastic thing about Klarna is on every transaction we process, we carry SKU level data. When you shop with us at Macy's, we can show you not only that you bought for $100, exactly images of the items that you bought and the sizes and the colors. And in this AI-powered world that we're going, this data and the fact that consumers are sharing this data with us is creating fantastic opportunities to match consumers to new brands, to new businesses, and providing them an even better way to save money, save time, make them less worried about their finances. So it's like, I think that that's really the key thing that media misses on Klarna is SKU level data. There's no other network out there, Visa, MasterCard, none of them has this network on the rails, and that's creating for us a unique opportunity. Buy now, pay later is a fantastic feature. It's grown a lot of interest, but for me, Klarna is so much more than that. And if Apple Pay Later becomes a buy now, pay later offer, sure, fine. But that doesn't solve that Apple doesn't have access to SKU level.
All right, Sebastian, that's a pretty good answer, because I would have thought that maybe you would have been a little bit worried if a tech giant like Apple was encroaching a little bit into your space. But
I'm worried about startups. I think you have to be worried about startups. They're the one you should be careful about. The big companies are the big companies. It's the startups and the new people coming with new great ideas, moving at super light speed. Those are the ones you should be worried about as a company.
Good to know. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Sebastian, while we have you talking about how you're trying to differentiate your business a little bit, give your business a competitive edge, you're incorporating AI. AI has certainly been the buzzword since the last several months at this point. What are you doing and why?
Well, first of all, I got to say, for people who don't know me, right, I have been one of the biggest crypto skeptic. I've been saying, no, forget about it. I've showed it to my mom, and she doesn't understand how it creates any value for her, which is always my mom test. It works pretty well. So don't expect me to be the one who's usually like, oh, this is the amazing new shiny thing. It's awesome. But this is different. Through my 18 years running Klarna, I've never seen anything like this. The first thing I did was ping OpenAI and Sam and say, hey, can we please be your favorite guinea pig? Because we have to adopt, this. And I think you have to lean into this as a company. You just have to go all in, which you're seeing obviously other people do as well. So what we're doing is also trying to avoid all the noise, avoid too much of the Twitter feeds and kind of the cool demonstrations, and just test, iterate. I think we have currently internally 16 ongoing major initiatives that are about everything from how we can apply this to train people, to create more efficiency. I mean, we're a bank, we're fully regulated. So a lot of what we do is writing instructions, policies, making sure that they're up to date, reporting to governmental agencies. A lot of this is writing, and actually, ChatGPT does a really good job at that. So there is tremendous efficiency opportunities beyond just the kind of obvious ones as like co-pilot, engineering, being able to be much more productive, customer service, chat supported customer service. I think we're just trying to make sure that we adopt it everywhere as much as we can. We want to lean into it as much as we can. And go all in. And we're also now, one of the most important things we launched now during Spotlight is that if you look at the Chinese market, in the Western world, search is still 80% of product purchases are coming through search. 15-20% are coming through recommendations. In China, thanks to AI, 80% of the products that people buy online are coming through recommendation. You open the Alibaba app and it says, this product found you. This is the perfect product for you. And you're like, this is awesome. So 80% is recommendations. We're launching that exact feature based on the SKU level data we have, and seen fantastic traction with that. So a lot, and it's fascinating. I've never seen anything like this in my 20 years in tech.
It certainly is. And Sebastian, we'd love to have you back to talk about how some of these efforts are progressing. Sebastian Siemiatkowski, CEO of Klarna, thanks so much for taking the time to join us.